Do you find yourself using social media at the least opportunity, posting, commenting, liking, connecting, reading about the latest celebrity feud, and you keep tapping and can't seem to put it away? Do you go on a guilt trip when you realize the number of hours you have spent on social media could have been spent doing something else? If this is you, this is entirely not your fault. Social media is engineered to be used exactly that way. Welcome to an explainer video on my side of the internet where we dive into all things consumer behavior in relation to social media, digital trends, and technology. First, a little history. The popular social media channels we have today were not the first social media channels that was created. Social media channels existed before Facebook and Twitter. Indeed, MySpace, High Five, Friendster, Google Plus were all popular social media channels that was poised for growth but didn't quite take off. So when Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter started, they weren't extraordinary. Besides, they weren't presenting a unique service that didn't already exist. Social networks already existed, and many of the core functionalities we see on social media today was in place. So they weren't unique at all. Facebook started as an online community for Ivy League students. Twitter was a micro-blogging site with a core product that wasn't groundbreaking. Instagram pivoted a number of times, the original idea being a geolocation site for whiskey enthusiasts. Instagram as a social network actually didn't really take off till they realized people were in love with the photo filters. So if this is the basis on which social media was built, how did companies like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube rise so fast in such few years? Facebook and Instagram's parent company, Meta Platforms, is prominently featured in Fortune 50, a collection of the top 50 most valuable companies in America in terms of revenue. This is a huge achievement given that many of the companies in the Fortune 50 and to a large extent Fortune 500 has been around for decades and has had years of industry experience. So how did the current crop of social media companies win such wide appeal, and what has that got to do with your addiction? Well, your addiction has got to do with the smart decisions that social media companies has taken over the years. Before we discuss the smart decisions these companies took, let's look at some of the top social media companies and how they are funded. Let's use Facebook as an example. As the social network began to grow beyond its target market of Ivy League schools, they had to seek funding as the initial capital invested could not maintain their service and other operational costs. This led to the company going into funding rounds, and as investor funding goes, the more funding a company receives, the higher its valuation. The higher the valuation of a company, the higher the expectations of its investors, which means the company has to go public. Going public means listing on the stock exchange, so regular people like you and I can buy shares in the company. Now, that's where initial investors can sell some of their shares in the public listing and cash out their investment. Although Facebook had a $50 billion valuation in the year 2011, getting ready to go public, it didn't have a solid revenue generating model. The company had a roadmap of making revenue by serving advertising, but it had not been proven that it would work. All the high funding rounds and investments meant that investors had expectations of making good returns. This is where the smart decision taken by Facebook took off. So the first smart decision taken by Facebook, and the reason why it's got to do with your addiction, is about productizing you. You are the product. Social media networks of the past relied on how new it was and made it all about the platforms, the bells and the whistles. But the current crop of social media networks has been smart. A 2018 Vox article mentions how tech companies use persuasive design to get us hooked, and psychologists say it's unethical. Social media networks and gaming companies have many psychologists. These psychologists, together with design experts, employ user experience to design the platform to appeal to your social side. Let's look at two of such design infusions that has worked exceptionally well for platforms such as Facebook. One, the like button. We all have a deep desire to be liked, admired, respected. And what better way to do that than posting a photo of yourself and getting people to like it and comment on how cute you are? This gives us a dopamine hit, inclining us to post more photos to receive more praise. Now, on the flip side, once a contact has liked and commented on your photo, you are psychologically indebted to also like their photos when they post theirs. Imagine playing a liking and commenting game with a friend list of about 2,000 people, and you have your math right there. Social media companies deeply understand our need as humans to be desired and liked, as well as achieving a high social status. So they prey on that. A regular teen Snapchat user, as The Atlantic recently noted, can have exchanged anywhere between 10,000 and even as many as 40,000 snaps with friends. As the snaps accumulate, they generate publicly displayed scores that bestow the allure of popularity and social status. The like button on Facebook has been replicated across all channels. It can be found on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, etc. Genius design number 2 is the scroll button. The scroll button is the single most important design win for all social media networks. The scroll button was replicated on the concept of a slot machine in a casino. Basically, the scroll button feeds you an endless list of content which keeps you digging deeper and spending more time on social media platforms. There's new content to be enjoyed every time you pull on that lever. All social media networks use it at this point. Even news media platform has adopted this design pattern due to its effectiveness in keeping you glued on a particular platform. This feature becomes so active in addicting people to social media that at a point Asa Raskin, the originator of this design concept, issued an apology for playing a role in people's addiction to social media. Innovative user experience designs and psychological hacks are working extremely well in addicting people to social media. A 2021 Statista report shows on average social media usage of 145 minutes per day, coupled with the fact that we touch our smartphones more than 2,000 times a day. The time spent on social media will continue to be higher. Share in the comment section with me how you control your social media usage. Thanks for watching this video.